Hello, so for the reassessment video we're going to do integer multiplication. So the definition of multiplication is you have some number of groups with each containing the same number of items and count the number of items, the total number of items. So a word problem is Tom has 1,204 boxes. Each box has 2,379 notebooks in them. How many pencils are there altogether? So this is saying that we have 1,204 groups of 2,379. So if we wrote this out to solve the problem, we'd write it out 2,379 times 1,204. And so this is the process of going through this algorithm. So let's start. So this is saying you have 1,204 groups. So if we drew out 1,204 groups, I didn't draw all of those out because that would take a long time. But these are some of the groups, and each little box has 2,379. So we can divide this problem up into sub-problems. And so first we're going to start with the singles place, which is the 4, or the ones place. So that means we're starting with the last 4 groups, or the last 4 boxes with 2,379 notebooks in them. So there's 4, and each has 2,379. So let's go into this problem a little deeper. So I wrote out the 4 groups, and as you can see, each group has 2,000 plus 300 plus 70 plus 9 in them. I accidentally paused the video, so where we left off was the 3 times 4. So that means we have 3 groups of 4, which is 12 flats, plus those 3 flats that we carried above. And it gives you 1 supercube plus 5 flats. So to go back to the whole meaning of this problem, that means we have 300 groups of 4. So we have 4 groups of 300. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. So now, if we're going to the next number in this box, we have 2,000. Or, because we are in the 2000s place right here, times 4. So that means 2 groups of 4, which gives you 8 supercubes plus 1 supercube, which gives you 9. So that means the 9 will go right here. Alright, so this means we have 4 groups right here. And now we're going to move on to this. So this represents we are moving on to the rods place, or the tens place, since we already did the singles place. So now this means that we have 0 groups of 2,379. So 0 groups equals nothing. So the answer would be 0. So that means that if you multiply 0 times 9, 0 times 7, 0 times 3, and 0 times 2, that would give you 0, 0, 0, 0. So that is why we get zeros for this column, because we don't have, we have 0 groups, or we have no groups at all of the tens place. So now we're moving on to the hundreds place, or 200. So we can add 2 zeros because we did the singles place, we grouped those together, we did the rods place, which was consisted of 0, and now we're moving on to the hundreds place. So now, instead of 4 groups, because we did 4 groups, and instead of 0 groups, we have 200 groups of 2,379. So as you can see, we have the 1,204 groups right here. So if we took a chunk out from this 1,204 and took out 200 groups, this is what we would do. So I drew it out again like we did up here. So each box consists of 2,000 plus 300 plus 70 plus 9. So we are going to split up this problem again and multiply each of these numbers by 200 because we have 200 groups. So now you do the same thing as we did up here. So hopefully you understood that by my example. So if we did 2 times 9, that would be 18. Plus that 1, carry that 1. Now, so we did it times 9. Now we do it by times the 70. So we have 2 times 70, or 2 groups of 7. So that it gives you 14 plus that 1 we carried up, which gives you 15. So then we do 3 times 2 plus that 1 we carried, which gives you 7. And then 2 times 2, which just gives you 4. So now for the fourth, so this represents 200 groups, this represents 0 groups, and now we're moving on to the final column, which tells you that, so instead of 200 groups, which we just did here, we are going to have 1,000 groups, because we are multiplying 2,379 times 1,204, and since we divided each up, so we did the singles, rods, flats, now we're doing the super cubes, or in other words, multiplying this number by 1,000. So we can split this up into drawing it out again, so you can see. So we have a box of 2,379. So if we multiply that by 1,000 and multiply this number by 1,000, this number, this number, and this number, then it shows right here what you can do. So 9 times 1, or times 1,000, 9 times 1,000 would be 9. And we also added 3 zeros because just like these two, we are moving on to the thousands place, or the super cubes, because we combined or grouped together the singles, rods, flats, and now we're on the super cubes. So 9 times 1, or 1,000, is 9, because we have 1,204 groups of 2,379. 7 times 1 is 7, once again. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. So if you added this all together, you have 8,074,316. It gives you your final answer. So if you go back to the word problem, we had 1,204 boxes. And I drew those boxes out right here. So since we have 2,379 in each box, and if you just count it up, which would take forever, so we are not just counting it up individually, we can multiply each by the 4, by the tens, by the 200s, and by the 1,000s to get the final answer, showing as we did right here. So you can split it into 4 problems, and counting by units, and counting in each box the 2,000, the 300, the 70, and the 9. So we just split those numbers up to give you a better understanding. Thank you.